Hey you guys, welcome in. I hope everyone's doing really well. Welcome into Heyoka High Priestess. I'm Christy. I am a seer, a healer, and a Heyoka empath. Okay, and on here we talk about the truth, divine justice, healing, and spirituality. So welcome in, y'all. So today I wanted to kind of just dive a little bit deeper into understanding about awakening, healing, and perception. Okay, so the way a person moves through life while consciously healing will almost always be misinterpreted by someone who is not on that path or not on that path yet. Okay, so let's break this down. So this is not because the awakened one is doing something wrong, but because healing changes your frequency. All right, you guys, your boundaries, your posture in the world. And elevation, when it is initiated by spirit, becomes a mirror, right? And we all are reflections of each other. So that mirror can feel like a threat to someone who has not yet chosen to look within. So it is like speaking different languages, right? So the healed are speaking from integration. And remember, we're always healing, you guys. This whole process is a forever healing, because we're always changing. We're always, moving, bumping into new people, maybe new relationships, new careers. So it's new opportunities to have another mirror in front of you, be it a person, career, what have you. So there will be that takes on healing, right? That takes on also like recognizing where we have healed and how much better we will be in those areas of our lives. So I like that. So the healed are speaking, so I said it's like speaking a different language sometimes, right? At first. But the healed are speaking from integration. The unhealed are listening through trauma. And trauma does not hear clearly. Trauma projects. And remember, we all came from trauma. Okay? So there's no no one's better than the other. It's more of a who is ready to recognize when they, are feeling like they're acting out or they're projecting, like, why are we doing these things? And that is when you like really recognize and you're like, okay, like this is a problem in my life, say like over drinking or whatever, like and getting into fights. It's like those are the wounds, right? When we act out and it's unnecessary, or it's harming yourself or harming others, that is when you can say to yourself in your own mirror and say, why am I doing this? I need to maybe take a seat, and look inside myself. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the common denominator. And that is where we've all had to get to sometimes to start that healing journey, you guys. So it's all of us. We all start from trauma, So, and we're all karmics at one point. We are all karmics at one point, okay? So like no one should feel bad about this. This is the beginning of the healing journey, right? Recognizing it, realizing it. I might be a part of this problem. You know what I mean? And we are. Like whatever we do, say, or how we act it's going to get a reaction. It has a cause and effect, right? So if it's a good one, good. If it's not so good, then we gotta take a second look, right? So it's nothing to be like ashamed about, right? We've all been there. So the unhealed are listening through trauma, and trauma does not hear clearly. Trauma projects. And it does. It's a reaction. Like it just comes out of us, right? Because we haven't sat to process how to balance our emotions. Okay. So what often and heal those parts of us. So what often happens is, instead of seeing awakened individuals as invitations into growth, which would be lovely, some perceive them as villains, right? They become the villain in their story. So not because the awakened are harmful, but because they refuse to contort themselves to soothe the wounds that are not theirs to heal. And that's true, right, guys? Like, especially if the other person, say, is not wanting to be receptive to hearing about themselves, or constructive criticism, or like maybe it's your time to sit down to look at yourself. That is hard to hear. Like, and trust me, I'm someone that was like, I knew I had to do that shit with myself, and it was more like God needed to be like, sit down, like, you need to wake up. We are not doing, you know what I mean? But it's because no one wants to hear that. No one wants it. Even like constructive criticism is hard to hear, right? But when we can release it with it, right, it's just so beneficial. That's why, you guys, like, God will show you, like, he will have things happen in your life to, like, so you can sit with them, so you don't have to be told by, you know, someone else that you're going to take probably offense to it. Absolutely. Like, and you know, a person doesn't want to be on the other side of that either. Like, it's not always pleasant, right? You know, but and that's when, like, frequencies we can come together, right? When people have taken the time to take that little bit of look within inside themselves, and then, you know, and then they conquer that, they heal it, they process it, and they understand then that is you raising your frequency. That is that alone, right? And there's lots of things that I'm sure we can heal, and they don't all we don't get it done in all one day, and we also don't know. They pop up by sometimes running in, getting triggered by others or experiences, etc., etc. And why we say, like, the healed will refuse if the other is not receptive to that healing or recognizing their fault in, like I say, a situation, because it will then enable even the person on the other side that's not choosing to look inside themselves. It's like enabling them even further to almost mistreat themselves and mistreat maybe even the healed one on that side. You know what I mean? So when you have healed certain places, like, you won't even find yourself to feel comfortable in other surroundings or around, like, lower vibrational, like, conversations or gossip. It's not saying, like, you're above it, but, like, sure, like, you are. It is, like, above it in a way, because you have healed those places. You don't need to gossip. All of that can be very draining to a healed, or, you know, in the process of a healing of one's process, even, you know, because you also then, like, lessen yourself, because you're just listening more so than, like, you know, chiming in on things that you have, like, tapped out of in a way, right? And even if you do, maybe, and most times, you guys, when you're on these healing journeys, like, you really are, like, doing that process, like, alone, right? And really connecting and, like, and you know, journaling and really reflecting on yourself, you know. And a lot of times when you do want to talk about things that are, like, you know, a little bit more constructive or about, say, your healing process, it's the spirit sometimes inside someone that has trauma, it doesn't recognize the response as, like, a positive influence, right? It sees it as, it can be frustrating. It can be a trigger to another, right? So that's where that, like, the speaking different languages can be frustrating on both ends, right? So I'm just saying. So the healed will continue, instead of contorting themselves to, like, a lesser version or, like, an older way of themselves, right? Maybe that they were in the past. Like, the healed will continue forward with grace. The unhealed rewrite sometimes the story to protect their pain, and it's not anything bad, you guys. It's a natural feeling to want to resist and push back, right? When you can't understand something, a lot of times that's what happens. When people cannot understand something and they don't recognize it, right? They can't resonate with it, so it's frustrating, right? So it can feel like an attack. It can make a person feel like, oh, what, do you think you're better, or, like, what have you, you know? So I'm sure a lot of maybe even a lot of you guys have been in instances of these reactions, and you just see it differently because you've worked on maybe a piece of that for yourself, so you can see it differently, but another might not be able to understand it. So that's where that different language, like, can seem like you're speaking different languages, and yeah, it's a lot of energy and it drains. But we're all, like, hopefully, like, on our way to, like, really taking care of ourselves in that way, so we can excel, and we can raise our frequency and understand the language of healing, that's being spoken all around the world now. Here is a truth many are not ready to hear. People will only ever see you as deeply as they have healed themselves, right? I've said that before. People can only meet you as far as they've come, right? Even with like mentors or teachers, you're not gonna go to your third grade teacher for a math problem that you're taking in high school, right? No, I'm sure maybe they would know the answer, but I'm just saying for expertise or for a deeper dive or a deep dive into that knowledge, right? So it's kind of like that. So let's see. So they do not see you. They see the version of you that fits their unresolved wounds a lot of times, okay? They do not recognize a healed version because they have not yet met one within themselves, okay? Awakened souls often trigger others without intending to. I don't think we ever intend to. And if it ever seems like we're intending to, it's most likely because we're standing up for ourselves, which every single human being should be doing if they are feeling like attacked. And it's not even, it's a response, and I'm sure someone that's been working on themselves is going to give you a pretty solid constructive response with grace, and it probably will be a little too honest for most people that it's going to trigger, you know what I mean? So yeah, and we have to be careful of that as well. All of us should be aware of how we speak to others, what we're saying, and honestly, if we're gonna put things out there that can harm or are offensive in ways, you gotta also be able to stand on that with whatever response you get back, right? And that's normal. That's absolutely normal. So awakened souls often trigger others without intending to, not through arrogance, not through superiority, but through authenticity. They're just being their truthful, honest self, right? And we all say we want the truth, but then when someone rises to that occasion and speaks their truth or tells the truth, some people get a little prickly, it's uncomfortable sometimes, even if it's not even about them. But okay, so they speak through authenticity and through wholeness, okay? So through not needing permission to exist as they are. We don't ask for permission. No one should have to ask for permission to live on this earth and be exactly who they are, And remember, we have free will. We do not have to sit and watch someone or be next to them, You don't have to. So this is especially true for mystics, intuitives, healers, and those who walk between worlds with light and shadow integrated. Because we are recognizing, we are welcoming our shadow in. It's a part of us, you guys. We have to be okay with it. We have to. That's the only way to heal it, or at least understand it, and then know like that part of me might take a little bit more processing, and you can decide if you're ready to sit down with that or not. No one gets to force you through that either. So when you embody both, you are easily misunderstood by those who live in halves, okay? And we've all been in halves, all right? So those operating from unhealed consciousness tend to split reality into extremes, right? It's like 0 to 100. I used to be like that. I was like an all or nothing thinking, like black and white thinking. Okay, so good or bad, savior or villain, right? Incorrect or innocent or corrupt. Incorrect or correct, right? So they need others to reflect them back so they can feel real. But awakened souls do not ask for that reflection. They return home to themselves. I was just gonna even think I'm like me sitting at home even and reflecting, right? Even looking in the mirror, if I'm giving affirmations to myself or crying or just dealing with the emotions that come through me, right? That's true reflection of caretaking for the triggers, caretaking for the anxiety, for the stress, for the just anything that goes on, just like we take care of ourselves when we're really happy and excited, right? So we have to be able to do it for both ends of us. Or how do we become wholesome? How do we become whole and not and not be bothered by so much that goes on around the world every day, all day. And that independence can feel destabilizing to those who depend on external validation to anchor their identity, you guys. This is where projection is born. And remember, we have all been people pleasers. That's where it starts. Like that's where it can get harnessed. And you have to see, you got to take care of you first. I wouldn't even recognize sometimes how much I was doing for others until like you need that help or you need that moment in time, and then no one's there for you. And then I'm all angry and like, yeah, I mean, those were the awoken moments that I had to stand my ground and say what I needed in all my relationships, you know what I mean? And what I would not put up with of who I met, or like, you know, or the scenes that I didn't want to be around anymore, even like bars and all of that whatnot, you know, if you're not drinking all these things, like it's different. It's even that, like say like a bar, like if you're not drinking, right, it's different than when you're watching everyone else. That's a perfect example. Or it's like talking to someone that's super intoxicated and they don't remember the next morning what you said. You're like, oh my gosh, like you're totally on different frequencies, you know. Absolutely, right? Because one's intoxicated and one's not, and one's clear-headed, clear-minded, and like and remembers the whole conversation, when the other's like and then, you know, it's like, oh, I don't want to talk about it, you know, because they don't remember. Like, so I'm just saying there's a mix of like, it becomes distorted, right? It becomes distorted for someone that hasn't healed maybe that piece of them, and someone else is trying to like talk about it, you know, it feels disruptive in the nervous system, you know, and people want to shy away from it, or it's like, okay, I don't care about that kind of thing, because it doesn't correlate. It's not resonating with them to like want themselves to like dive into that conversation or where they're at in their process, you know what I mean? That was just like an example. But okay, so when an awakened person leaves a dynamic that was built on confusion, dependency, or energetic misuse, something powerful happens. Okay, the charge returns, you guys. When you're getting drained in these relationships that say one person is on like starting to heal or starting, and you never know when you go through another ascension. Like you don't, like you may have done something out of the norm that you don't normally do, and God sees that. Like he sees that. Like those maybe a test, like a test given from him, right? In the world that we don't know if it's a test or not, and then that's a form of passing that test, and like an ascension can come on. You know what I mean? You know. So, and mind you guys, a lot of times with like, if you feel depressed or like a moment of like strong depression or really low, like you are being drained out to be rebuilt, to ascend. You are being depleted of everything. So God can, you know, it's like putting his spirit in you. He's renewing you. He's reviving you. You're uplifting. Your frequency is raising, right? Okay, you're elevating, and it's beautiful. So be careful of like thinking like, oh, I'm depressed, when in reality sometimes you are, and they can be a couple days or longer, you know, and we have many of them, you guys. Like that's the beauty. And then you can look back and be like, oh my gosh, that doesn't bug me anymore. Like I am unbothered by like these people. I'm like, this doesn't bug me. Like I'm way more patient. Like, and that is the reflection too. God wants us to give ourselves gratitude and pat ourselves on the back, because it's like we forget to like even notice like, okay, I'm in the same room with the same people because of an event or something or a family thing, and I am not acting, I'm not freaking out, or what have you, you know? I'm just saying that those are moments where you get to be like, wow, like I have worked on myself, and God will bless you with those ascensions, because that's all he wants for all of us is to become our best selves and not have to get frustrated all the time, not have to have anxiety, not have to be mad and like want to like, you know, take all our time on being angry or resentful on someone else when they're just like going off living their life. You know what I mean? Like we never want that for ourselves, you guys. So we got to take the time to take care of us. We have to take care of us first. And that's why like in these relationships, you guys, you have to notice what's not working for you. And if the other person is not on board like that, like, and they're not on board like that, then it's like, I have to move away from this because it's draining and it's stagnating you. And trust me, it only will help that person then to look within themselves. You know what I mean? Sorry, this thing is so being annoying. It's just really smart to be aware of your surroundings and who you do get to choose, who you want to be around and who you don't, and recognizing the red flags and not just putting it aside saying, oh, this is normal, like this is my routine in life, like this is how it has to be. No, like we are meant to be happy. We are meant to try new things, like, expand our minds, expand our souls, like what our soul is reaching for. So just know, like, the day in, day out, or the fights with the relationship, that's not normal. That's unhealthy, okay? Unless it's making breakthroughs together and you guys are healing those moments in time together and not returning to those fights and all of that kind of stuff, then no, it's not working, you know what I mean? And you gotta take the charge and you gotta stand up and take back your life. You have to. When you get out of these like relationships, right, or like these careers that are just like you hate doing, or whatever it is, because you are recognizing like you're not happy, right? And you move away from these energies, these lower vibrational energies, sorry to say, right? But they're not taking the stance in their life to take the required steps to make it better. So, you have to transition, you have to move, you have to shift, you got to get out. You have to take care of you first, always, you guys. But the clarity then returns. It's like your whole, just everything that was draining, all the stress, all the drama is released. You have full renewal of self, pretty much. So, and stability returns. Your mind is clear. All things, your body starts to heal. These things can make us sick, you guys. And like your body being drained like that, your mind being drained, like the nothing progressing, or just stagnation of life. You're not learning anything new, or you're killing the vessel, like you're getting sick, so I'm just saying. But that is what occurs when you stay in such low vibrations. Like it's not beneficial for us. It's not beneficial for anyone, and you have to take charge to move away and make better for your life. Okay, so stability will return, and those who benefited from that confusion suddenly feel the weight of its absence. The weight of your absence even. But it's almost like they then have to, which they will, have to sit with themselves, right? We all have to go through this process, and God is pushing all of us, like, to do it. We are here healing. We are here healing. And once you take those steps and you push through the hard moments, like you will literally say, why didn't I not take this time to do this earlier? Why wasn't I seeing this before? And some of us are stubborn, more stubborn than others, but it's everything and more, you guys. And then, and you don't turn back. You don't look back, right? You move forward. You want more. You want to advance more and more. They may feel that absence, but it is a moment for them to see themselves clearly. And you guys, a lot of times we are in each other's lives for lessons to be learned. Okay, it's like for a season. It's not forever, right? It's for you to grow and learn from, and then move on, just like people with jobs, with like when you go from grade schools, like absolutely. So if we can look at it like that, sometimes it's not as hard. We don't have to clutch onto things that we have outgrown, right? And trust me, when you really take the time to be on this healing journey, like you want to be seen, like in the sense of you want to resonate with others that you know are out there, that are healing, that are doing the work. Just like we have our friend groups, we want to resonate with the people we love. It's really just a lot of growth. It's maturity, you guys. It's independence. It's really wanting to find out about ourselves. You know, it's wanting that clarity. It's nice. And you get more opportunities in your life when you grow up, you mature, you take responsibility for your actions, you are accountable, and you feel good about it. Just like when you get your first apartment and you live alone or with a roommate, like you feel confident, you are excited, you are proud of yourself, you know? When you get your master's degree or something, like you're fucking proud of yourself. It's growth. It is growth. So take the time to heal the little things that are annoying anyways, right? You don't want to be triggered all the time. The person that walked away from the confusion and the other was left with the absence, it's not because the awakened person took something away, but because they stopped carrying what never belonged to them. That the weight of the drama or the stress or other people that are choosing not to see themselves and want to progress. So that awoken person gets to step out and further their life, wherever they want to go and what they see that is fulfilling for them, where others will then see them clearly, like, maybe you did see the drama and all that before because you were living in your shadow. We can't live in our shadow. It's going to be chaos all the time. And trust me, we were comfortable with chaos before we healed. When you do not react the way others expect, which is typically like freaking out or yelling or screaming or, projecting, right? When you do not, when you do not beg for acceptance, right? When you do not defend your truth endlessly, the narrative collapses. So all of that you were living in, all that trauma that you're now seeing as, I need to heal that. I'm a part of that trauma. That's a part of my shadow that I need to heal and I get to. And you move away from it. That timeline, that situation, all of that noise does collapse. I'm not saying it just like disappear, like your family members or whatever, if you're moving away from them, like they're there, but you have a boundary that you made. You chose to rise. And they can too, and you chose to get out of that relationship. And just like with the poor relationships, you guys, trust me, you are doing yourself a disservice if you stay in these chaotic, like trauma bond relationships. It's not beneficial to either party. So when one does take the courage, and I'm telling you, most times the person that God has awoken is gonna have to be the bigger person most times, and move themselves out of the situation, because you'll just be fighting endlessly, draining all your energy, because the other person's never going to see it because they're not at your capacity yet. And so when you do, you're actually allowing them to then be with themselves, so then they have to see themselves and awaken. So don't enable the fighting and sit in it and stay with it and think that's normal. No, like that's a trauma bond. That's you guys are living in your shadow. You need to walk into your light. Balance both of them. When you make choices to move away from chaotic situations that are not meant for you anymore, you don't resonate with them. You can't even sit through it, and you're like, but none of these people even understand. Even if I did break it all down to them, they'd yell at me. It's because it's your time to move, and boom, you just shifted your timeline. And you passed one of the biggest tests. That's what I'm telling you. God does wait on us. Those are our tests sometimes, to see what is going on around us and know this is not for me any longer. Even if it is your family, even if it, you know what I mean? Like, you create boundaries then, but you can't rise, you cannot elevate in low vibrational situations or just environments. You can't. You gotta know when when that season or that situation is done with. That lesson has been learned. Walk away. I guarantee you will ascend and shift your timeline. You will raise your frequency like that, and you'll feel a million times better. Okay, so don't stay in draining things. It's not doing anyone good, but keeping you both kept and stuck. And stagnated. So, and really unhappy. When you do begin to heal and you say you're back in a family situation or something, and you don't react the way that you normally would, and they're trying to push your buttons, right? Or you're not chasing the person, your ex or something like that, right? You're not begging for them to be with you. You're moving differently because that's not for you anymore, or you know how to sustain your emotions, balance your emotions, sustain yourself, right? It doesn't bother you. You're unbothered by those things. And then you really see clearly how much work you've done. All right. So those who once tried to define you begin to unravel inside their own stories, their own storylines about you, or like what you used to be like, right? And they used to always give. It's like, no, but you've learned boundaries with giving and receiving. This world is about giving and receiving, right? It's in a healthy manner. Okay, so just know when you do heal, and you're going to get pushback from people, right? Because they're confused, or they don't like that you're like staying in, or like not, they might project on you, but just know you're doing it for the betterment of yourself, right? And everyone gets the same amount of hours in the day, the same opportunity, right, to do it. But we don't wait on others to get there until we get there, right? When it's your time, because you're only going to keep rising. So just know that, and just know, like, you aren't the person that you used to be, even from yesterday. So, they can't put you back in the box. They can't, and that's what a lot of times people that are triggered will do, right? Or they'll like harp on you. You're not going to allow that. You stand up for yourself, or you walk away because or you've already walked away and you're like, yay, I don't have to deal with that. You chose to learn your worth. Okay. And it's really cool too, because I think when you stand up and say a family dynamic or a relationship or a friend group, when you do it, like when you change and they see that, like I'm telling you, you become like the way shower of that. You become the change that we are all doing in this world, right? And I'm telling you, if they love you, if these people love you and say they love you and care for you, they will want to better themselves to have you in their life, okay? And the actions behind that, for people that do that shows love, that shows commitment, that's to themselves and to the person that they say that they need all the time around or care for. There's big differences. Actions do speak louder than words, I'm telling you right now. And people are realizing that they have to take a stance in their life and know what's good for them. This is why awakened ones are often pointed as selfish, cold, manipulative, or untrustworthy. Not because they are, but because they will not self-abandon to preserve an illusion. Okay, and they will not be belittled or taunted at. Like, no, and you're never going to abandon yourself. I'm telling you, you will not, and you're not going to put up with yappers. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, honestly, it's just not for you. Okay, and that is fine. We don't fight with the enemy. Okay. So they will not dim their discernment to remain palatable, right? They will not carry karma that was never assigned to them. And you guys, be careful of that. When people have karma like that and you're with them, it attaches. Because the more you heal, the more elevated you become, and you have the protection and all of that, right? So when others want to try and come back, like, something that that you left and you said bye to, and they try and like come back into your life, and they have a lot of karma that they have to deal with, right? Like, and say you want to like help them out and keep them in your home or whatever. It really depends on the situation, obviously, but like I'm just saying, you don't always want to do that if that person is not really going to start shifting their life around like that day, or have things to show for it that are like that they only need a place for this day from here to here, because whatever karma that they're dealing with, it can shift onto you. So you just have to be aware of those things. Okay, I'm not saying don't help people, but like, you have to know people's intentions, I'm telling you, and or you make strict rules when it comes down to it. And hopefully, obviously, one of the biggest things when it comes to healing is boundaries, and knowing your worth, and learning what you will be okay with and what you won't. And you get to speak that, and others have to be respectful. It's respect, you guys. Anyone on this planet, acting in their karmic ways or not, like, all feel this entitlement, right, of like respect, right? But I'm telling you, respect, you have to give respect to get respect, okay? And that's just that. So we all need to like recognize that and remember that, right? Just like put yourself in someone else's shoes for a second, right? Before we think we're gonna like harm someone or whatnot. Okay, so healing does not make you agreeable. Healing makes you clear, okay? We are not here to be just nice to everyone and agree and be people pleaser. And you guys, I'm telling you right now, never be feared to speak your mind and say what you need, especially if someone's coming to live with you or what have you, if you're helping someone or something like that. Or just in general, everyone should be speaking what they need in any situation, right? Gracefully. But I'm just saying, there's a big difference. Like, you will see, even if you give a hard boundary, if the other person on the other end will either respect that or they won't. So there's the fine line. That's the difference. That's where you really know if someone's saying like, I've healed, all these kind of things, and then they can't even respect your boundary or like what you've asked of them. That's it. It's just showing that they're acting in false light. Okay, so just be aware of these things. But we are out here. We need to respect one another. Okay? Healing does not make you agreeable. Healing makes you clear. Because we can't always be agreeing, and that's half the time. That's just what the other person wants, right? So. And clarity feels like exposure to those who benefit from distortion, okay? So if you are being misread, misunderstood, or projected onto, understand this. It is not a failure of your character, you guys. It is evidence of your integration, of your up leveling, your healing. You are being seen through lenses that are cracked, not because you are broken, no, but because you are whole, okay? So stand firm in what you have done for yourself and taken the time and grown and healed and matured. Hell yeah, okay? So do not shrink to correct someone's misunderstanding. Do not carry stories that were never yours, you guys. And even with all like the gossiping and stuff, and and mind you, when you hear a story, it's like it probably went through 5 different mouths anyways. And is it the same story? And are we making assumptions or like, are we going to stand up and go and ask the person or go and see for ourselves, But we're not going to carry other stories unless we know the facts to them. That's a huge one, you guys. We have to be the movers and shakers and the shift makers for these things to stop occurring, of all this drama. And like, it's like people don't even know what really is going on in like others' worlds, but we're talking about them. Like, why? So do not carry stories that were never yours, okay? Those who are ready will feel the invitation and awaken. Those who are not will call the mirror an enemy. We'll call the healed one like the enemy, right? Or be jealous or envious, right? Because they can't understand it yet until they step into it themselves. And we all have that capability. We all get to. There's no excuses with this. I'm telling you guys, there's no excuses. Okay? So I'm sure there's stubbornness that we all have had, but we either get to choose or we don't choose. It's just that. Okay. And so those who are not will call the mirror an enemy, all right? And both responses are information. Move forward anyway, okay? Your healing is not meant to be negotiated, baby. I'm telling you. So remain anchored in your truth, okay? And stay grounded in your power alone, in your healing, in your clarity, and in your soul sovereignty, okay? The perceptions of others do not define you. Projection is not your burden to carry, okay? Let your path continue in grace, authenticity, which is the highest frequency, and love for yourself. And always love, you guys. Lead with love, okay? For those on the path and humanity as a whole, still awakening. All right, and above all, move through this world seeing truth through the soul's lens. Okay, so move through this world seeing truth through the soul's lens. Okay, I love you guys. I hope this was helpful. And there's no shame to anyone that is still in their unhealed wounds. Okay, we have all been there, and we're all supportive of each other. Okay, seriously. Let's drop the messy mess and step into our happy, soul-fulfilling, magical era, okay? I love you guys so much. Okay, have a lovely night. All right, bye. 'Cause my heart went numb,